Okay, hello. This is a video on essentially how to have a day off on Anki, although really it's more about reducing the load for the day. And it's sort of a way of potentially approaching reviews as well. So we're going to be using a plugin which is called Rememorize, and you can find that on the link below. So this is the page. And on here you just scroll down to the bottom and you'll use this code and copy that code, go here, and then at the top of your Anki you should be able to go to Tools, Add-ons, and you can add the code here and restart your Anki and you'll have it. After that, just go here, go to config, and you'll want these settings, so true, true, false on these. Okay. The rest I don't believe I've done anything with. So just a note on this is basically this is the closest way of having a productive day off. Essentially, it doesn't really mess up the algorithm too much. That's why we use Rememorize, because it will keep the algorithm and you won't get a penalty for reviewing earlier, because if you do that more and more, it can change your ease. Basically, the way to approach it is that you will reduce the amount of mature cards that you do on the day. So the more mature cards that you have, the more successful of reducing your load for the future day that this will be, essentially. And basically will also mean that you don't really mess up your learning cards either. So it's quite handy, really. You're going to want to go to browse, and in the browse going to type prop due equals 1. So this is days for tomorrow, and so all cards due tomorrow, and then you want an interval of equal or more than 21 days, mature cards. If I click Command A or Control A, depending on what you're on, you're going to want to go to reposition. Untick this. Okay, start position 0, step doesn't matter, I don't think. Just by clicking OK, this will reschedule your cards to today. Exit out, and you can see here I now have 194 cards to do. So there you go. That will review it for the next. So that will be tomorrow's cards, which I can now do here, and that will reduce the load. Now, in terms of if you wish to do more, you can review, say, 2 days worth of mature cards. You'd obviously just go due 2, and then for mature cards you use this filter of interval equal or more than 21. So this is because it's counting the cards that are currently due on day 0, the ones that I have. But if I go due 1, you see it doesn't change because I have no mature cards tomorrow, and then the following day you can see it increases. If you wish to review more, maybe you may wish to go to 15 days. That's a decent amount of days interval. You can see I could review up to 237 cards today, and I had about 400, I think. So, I mean, 400 down to, let's say, 200, that halves my load for the day. Probably makes it only about a half an hour ordeal, maybe more realistically 45 minutes. But that's just a lot easier to deal with in the day, so it's a lot better to do it like this. In terms of using this regularly, it's up to you how much it'll impact you, but by using Anki a lot, you're going to see the content a lot. Other than, say, more traditional study methods, so you will benefit a lot. And by doing this, it allows you to have a lot more pleasant days. Now, in terms of seeing cards, altering cards that you see often, if you go to your browser, see any cards, and if you go over here, so what you're going to want to do is you can see the ease that you've got, okay, and 130% is the lowest ease. In order to get it to show your ease, now to get it to show your ease, if you right click here, you can get it to show the card, the deck that it's in when it's due, its ease, which is what you want to look at. Okay, and by doing that, you can see the cards that you're seeing a lot more frequently than you should. And what you can do is if you right click the card, you can go reschedule. Okay, and this will make the card new again, and it's just quite handy to do that for altering cards that you're just seeing too often. And essentially that will mean that you will see it obviously for the next few days, and because you know it, you'll click good, and very quickly you'll get that card to a much better interval, because it will be on an ease at 250% rather than being stuck at 130%. Another way to do this, because I have a lot of cards like that were maybe earlier, what I do is when I see some cards that based on their based on their hard, good and easy intervals, if they're all pretty much the same, then you can just click easy, because it will slightly increase the ease should you know the card. If you don't know the card, then you're going to have to keep that ease low at 130% until you learn it, or I would advocate for just relearning the card from scratch, from zero, go back to maybe where you got the content from, and also reset the card. Now, in terms of when you're reviewing cards, say tomorrow I didn't do these cards and then I had 400 to do, what I like to do is split the cards in the day. Now, to create a filtered deck, when you're on Anki, just go to tools and go to filtered deck. Okay, and then you could type in pop due, and then you can do the rest, essentially, and this will allow you to review your cards. So in this particular deck, so I'll build that, and there you go. Now, why did it do that? Because make sure you have this setting on, and you'll want to unlimit that, so set that to 999 when you have obviously a bigger deck. But what we can do is we can just delete the filter deck, and then all the cards will go back into their original as well. But that's pretty much it in trying to reduce your load. Those are the main things. If you simply have to skip a day, it's not the end of the world. It will just take you a bit of time the next day. You can just use filter decks to try and make it a bit more manageable, filter out the sort of content if you use tags, because you can organize this by tag as well. Alright, so please feel free to go to my Anki playlist and you'll see some other videos. Alright.